Hello, Army. Welcome back to Taekook Update Channel. What exactly did Jeon Jungkook whisper backstage that left Kim Taehyung visibly shaken? Was it a confession, a warning, or something far more personal that no camera was meant to capture? The question has been echoing across the global fanbase ever since BTS concluded their electrifying live performance on Arirang in Tampa, a stage that was supposed to celebrate music, unity, and their long-awaited return to the spotlight. Yet, what unfolded behind the curtains may have carried more emotional weight than anything that happened under the lights. Because while the performance itself was flawless, sharp choreography, stable vocals, synchronized energy, something shifted the moment the members stepped off stage. It wasn't obvious at first. There were no dramatic gestures, no sudden outbursts. But those who were paying attention, those who caught the fleeting expressions and subtle interactions, began to notice something unusual. Taehyung's smile lingered a second too long. Jungkook's eyes avoided the cameras just slightly. And then, the moment that changed everything, barely audible, partially obscured, but impossible to ignore. Jungkook leaned in and said something to Taehyung. And Taehyung froze. What could possibly make someone like Taehyung, known for his composure, expressive confidence, and ability to command both stage and silence, pause like that? Was it exhaustion finally catching up with him? Or was it the weight of something deeper, something that had been building long before Tampa? To understand the gravity of that moment, we need to rewind. The Tampa performance was not just another stop in BTS's schedule. It came after months of intense preparation in the United States, where the members had reportedly been pushing themselves beyond their limits to perfect their upcoming album. Insiders hinted at sleepless nights, relentless rehearsals, and a level of pressure that even BTS, veterans of global fame, had rarely experienced. Fans had already been worried. There had been earlier signs. Moments when Taehyung seemed quieter than usual during interviews. Instances where Jungkook appeared overly protective, staying close to him even during casual behind-the-scenes footage. And then, of course, the widely discussed incident on a plane, where Taehyung reportedly suffered a sudden nosebleed due to exhaustion, with Jungkook holding him until help arrived. Was Tampa connected to that? Or was it something entirely different? As the Arirang performance concluded, the members bowed to thunderous applause. RM gave a short speech, thanking fans for their unwavering support. Jimin and J-Hope exchanged relieved smiles. Suga adjusted his in-ear monitors as if trying to hold onto the moment just a little longer. Everything seemed normal until they walked backstage. A staff member later described the atmosphere as quiet, but not peaceful. The kind of quiet that feels heavy, like something unsaid is pressing against the air. Jungkook was the first to move toward Taehyung. He didn't laugh. He didn't joke. He didn't do the usual post-performance routine of hyping each other up. Instead, he stepped closer, lowered his voice, and spoke. No microphones. No official recordings. Just a brief exchange. But someone heard enough. Not the full sentence, but fragments. You can't keep. Not again. I saw you. And then Taehyung's expression changed. His eyes widened, not dramatically, but enough to suggest surprise. His lips parted slightly, as if he wanted to respond but didn't know how. And then, perhaps most telling of all, he looked away. Why would Taehyung look away from Jungkook? The two have long been known for their close bond. Their friendship, often described as one of the strongest within BTS, has been built on years of shared experiences, mutual support, and an almost instinctive understanding of each other. So, what could Jungkook have said that broke that rhythm? Even for a second? Some fans believe it was concern disguised as confrontation, that Jungkook, having witnessed Taehyung's struggles up close during their time in the US, finally reached a point where he couldn't stay silent anymore. That his words were not meant to hurt, but to wake Taehyung up, to remind him that pushing himself too far comes at a cost. Others think it was more personal. A confession, perhaps. Something Jungkook had been holding back, choosing a moment when emotions were already high to finally say it. The intensity of a live performance, the vulnerability that follows. It creates a space where truths often slip out. But if that's the case, why did Taehyung react with surprise rather than understanding? unless he didn't see it coming at all. Another theory suggests Jungkook may have referenced something that happened off camera, something even fans are not aware of. You can't keep doing this. What is this? Skipping meals? Overworking? Ignoring symptoms of fatigue? Or something more emotional? Not again. Does that imply a pattern? A repeated behavior that Jungkook has noticed and worried about for some time? I saw you.
Saw what?
A moment of weakness? A hidden struggle? These questions don't just intrigue. They unsettle, because they hint at a reality behind the polished image of BTS. A reality where even global superstars face moments of vulnerability, tension, and unspoken conflict. Shortly after the exchange, Taehyung reportedly stepped aside, taking a few seconds alone before rejoining the group. When he returned, his expression had softened, but there was a noticeable shift. He was quieter. Jungkook, on the other hand, stayed close, but didn't speak again. Was that silence intentional? Was it a sign that the conversation wasn't finished, or that it had already said everything it needed to? Fans analyzing backstage clips pointed out another detail. Jeon briefly glanced at both Taehyung and Jungkook during that moment. His expression unreadable, but attentive. Did he hear what was said? Did the other members know? In the days following the performance, neither Taehyung nor Jungkook addressed the incident directly. Their public appearances remained professional, their interactions warm, but slightly more reserved. It's subtle, almost imperceptible. But for those who have followed BTS closely, even the smallest change feels significant. Because BTS has always been more than just a group. They are a family. And like any family, moments of tension, especially those rooted in care, can reveal just how deep those bonds truly go. So, was Jungkook's statement a sign of conflict, or was it, in its own way, an act of love? Perhaps the real story isn't about what was said, but why it needed to be said at all. As fans continue to search for answers, one thing remains clear. That brief, quiet moment backstage in Tampa has opened a window into a side of BTS that is rarely seen, a side that is raw, human, and deeply emotional. And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes it so powerful. Because behind every perfect performance, every synchronized move, every carefully crafted image, there are real people facing real struggles, trying to protect each other in ways the world may never fully understand. So the question still stands. What did Jungkook say? And more importantly, what did Taehyung feel when he heard it? And that brings us back to Taehyung. Because in moments like this, the focus often shifts to what was said, but just as important is how it was received. Taehyung is not someone who reacts impulsively. His emotions, while expressive on stage, are often measured in private. So when he paused, when he looked away, when his expression subtly changed, it wasn't random. It meant something. Perhaps it was realization. The kind that arrives quietly but hits deeply, the moment you understand that someone else has seen what you've been trying to carry alone. Not the polished version, not the version meant for fans or cameras, but the unguarded one. The one that slips through in brief seconds, missed beats, tired eyes, forced smiles. If Jungkook truly saw that, then his words weren't just a reaction to a single moment. They were the result of accumulation. Days, maybe weeks of observation. Small details, adding up until they could no longer be ignored. And maybe that's why Taehyung didn't respond immediately. Because some words don't invite instant answers. They require processing, reflection, acceptance. Backstage in Tampa, that pause, those few seconds where everything seemed to slow down, may have been the exact point where something shifted between them. Not in a negative way, but in a way that deepens understanding. Where silence carries more meaning than explanation. Meanwhile, Jungkook's decision to step back afterward feels just as significant. He didn't push. He didn't repeat himself. He gave space. And that space, intentional, controlled, suggests trust. Trust that Taehyung would understand. Trust that he would think about it. Trust that the message, however incomplete it sounded to others, had already reached where it needed to. Because sometimes, caring for someone isn't about saying everything. It's about saying just enough. As the night continued and the group prepared to leave, the atmosphere slowly returned to something more familiar. Conversations resumed. Staff moved around with renewed energy. The visible tension softened, but it didn't disappear completely. It settled beneath the surface, quieter now, but still present. And then came that brief glance. Taehyung looking back at Jungkook. This time, no surprise. No hesitation. Just a look. A look that, to many fans, felt like an answer, without words. Was it acknowledgement, gratitude, or simply a silent way of saying, "I heard you"? We may never know for certain, but what we do know is this. Whatever happened in that moment didn't break anything between them. If anything, it revealed something stronger, something more real than what's usually seen. Because relationships, especially ones built over years like theirs, aren't defined by constant ease. They're shaped by moments like this, uncomfortable, honest, necessary. Moments where someone chooses to speak, even when it's difficult, and someone else chooses to listen, even when it's unexpected. So maybe the real significance of that whisper isn't in decoding the exact words. Maybe it's in understanding the intention behind them. A quiet warning, a moment of concern, an act of care, something that didn't need an audience to matter. And perhaps that's why it continues to stay with fans. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was real.